Hello everyone, welcome to an impromptu HCW news. My name is RGX, sadly not flanked by Frozzy and Great Wrestle. Unfortunately, because of a recording error, which is entirely on me last night, the audio failed when we recorded. So just to make sure we get the news out in some form, I'm doing it solo. So bear with me please guys. I do appreciate you bearing with us through this. I apologise for a delay, but we'll keep on schedule. So, starting off, obviously, there's a lot of news over the whole Vince McMahon situation. We've managed to cover most of it from the beginning, as well as the breaking news that we recorded last Friday after his retirement. More information has come out regarding that. Now, before SmackDown, Bruce Pritchard was placed in temporary charge of creative, and Triple H was put in as EVP of Talent Relations, with Stephanie McMahon and Nick Khan being co-CEO and chairpersons. SmackDown was a little bit rough because when they had the talent meeting, it was alleged that Brock Lesnar kind of stormed out during the talent meeting along the lines of, if he's gone, I'm gone. Word got out to various dirt sheets, including Brian Alvarez, who reported on it. Now, the intention was always to try and get brought back, because essentially the SmackDown show as written was built around him. Because of him leaving the building, they quickly redrafted it, but did leave the last segment open in case they could get a hold of Brock. Thankfully they did, and we'll cover that on the review. On Monday, just a few hours before Raw, it was announced that Bruce Pritchard was leaving his role as head of creative and was getting replaced with Triple H on a permanent basis. Now, speaking for myself, and I know we discussed this on our Discords and stuff as well, it's quite possibly the best case scenario for a selection of head of creative. It's already been confirmed by Fightful, who've reached out to several former WWE superstars that have said that they might not have left or have been released if Triple H had been in charge. In particular, they've not named names, but they mentioned some free agents who are far more open to hearing pitches for a return now than they were previously. Cough, cough, Johnny Gargano, cough, cough. So I can see it being a very slow to begin with, but eventual transition into a much better wrestling product. As of the time of recording, I have not seen the ratings for Raw. However, SmackDown did receive a substantial bump in viewership, going from 2.0 million to 2.4 million. So I would expect something along those lines, if not even bigger, for Raw on Monday. Now, as I say, Triple H is now confirmed in the role. However, more news has come out about Vince McMahon himself and the circumstances surrounding his retirement. Essentially, it wasn't a retirement at all. He, when WWE filed their SEC filings, which is basically their financial reports, they noted that $14.6 million, which is the same amount as the totals of the NDAs, had been identified as being paid by Vince McMahon, but not accounted for in their quarterly and annual statements, which they should have been, indicating that those are WWE funds. Now, I was asked in one of the servers I'm in to put that in plain English. Essentially, Vince McMahon spent money that wasn't his on those poor women, and now he's in a lot of trouble. So what he's essentially done is embezzlement. So the FTC and the SEC, which are like two big regulatory bodies slash law enforcement for blue collar crime and high end financial crime, are now fully investigating the matter, so it's no longer just an internal matter. And there could be more than just Vince McMahon who loses their position because of this. Essentially, anyone who is complicit and knew the details of those payments and knew that they weren't disclosed could also get in trouble. I'm not a US lawyer by any stretch, so don't take my word on it as gospel. But from what I've read, he is in a lot of trouble. So this isn't just Vince McMahon retiring. This is essentially him resigning. Although he's still a majority stock owner, as part of the punishment for this crime, essentially, he could be forced to surrender his stock. So it very much will be no longer Vince McMahon's WWE. What I've also found is that there have been lots of reports that always come out when someone leaves the company of their being unprofessional. We saw it with Keith Lee when they questioned his work ethic. They saw it with Shane McMahon when they were talking about how he was trying to book himself into spots and was snippy with talent. We even saw it with Stephanie herself when she took time away, that she was responsible for meeting marketing quotas that she was failing to hit. Now, it seems that even Vince McMahon himself isn't immune from that, as reports have come out that essentially Vince McMahon needed a filter, especially in recent years from creative. There are several instances, apparently, again, these are all allegations made by talent anonymously to the likes of Fightful, that Vince would regularly forget what matches he had already booked. He would forget the names of some of the people in his roster. And if anyone did something in a feud long since ran its course, he would absolutely berate them for having ruined the angle, even though it had gone long past its expiration date. So not even Vince McMahon himself can avoid being buried in the way out the door. So WWE is very much in a state of flux right now, but they're by far not the only company having issues at the moment. I'll be very careful how I put this, because I have been engaged in several conversations, let's just say, regarding Jonathan Gresham. Now, in the run-up to defending his World Championship at Death Before Dishonor, which reviewed at the weekend there, he had handed in a request for his release. This all comes down to the fact that for several weeks, Gresham had been trying to get a hold of Tony Khan to discuss his booking. He was unhappy that he was turned heel and given a mouthpiece, and he felt he didn't need one or deserved one. There's a slight difference of opinion there from my own point of view, but there is absolutely no doubt in the fact that as Ring of Honor World Champion and an excellent wrestler, it was an absolute spit in the face to give him 11 minutes second on the card. Now, we've been told via Fightful that there was a meeting backstage between Gresham, Tony Khan and a couple of the coaches. It had initially been a closed door meeting where none of the details were supposed to get out, but apparently the conversations got so loud and resulted in Gresham cussing out Tony Khan that other superstars in the back could hear what was going on, and that's how it got back to Fightful. Off the back of this, Gresham has deleted all his social media, though Jordan Grace has still got hers up. Given a lot of their social media activity lately, the break may prove good for his mental health, if nothing else. And as I say, although he's not one of my favourite wrestlers from a character standpoint, cannot deny for a second that he's an excellent, excellent wrestler. And the disrespect shown towards him, I can understand that. Now, with regards to like the way things are booked in AEW, more details have come out regarding that. Apologies for my dog. So, as I say, more details have come out regarding that. The process appears to be that whenever a talent has questions about their booking or wants to pitch anything, they do so to one of the coaches backstage, which is your Pat Buck, Christopher Daniels, and QT Marshall. They then relay that pitch, question, booking plan to Tony Khan, who makes the final decision on it. Now, if you're kind of following along with the likes of Joey Janela, Marco Stunt, Brian Cage, you'll see that that process basically just isn't working. Now, Tony Khan is an extremely busy man, especially now that Fulham have been promoted back to the Premier League again. You're essentially asking to put your entire creative plans in the hands of one of the coaches, rightly or wrongly, who have never been big draws or had any booking powers before anyone else and don't have experience booking, from what I understand, to relay that on your behalf to a man who might only have 2 minutes getting off a plane to make a decision. He needs some sort of proper booking committee in place. Absolutely. If he wants to have final say on what happens, no problem. But we cannot let things go like that. I've no doubt the top talent, your Mox, your Gresham, your Mox, your Danielson, your Punks, all have his ear. But if you're a young wrestler on the card wanting to progress and you have loads of cool story ideas in your head of what you want to do, try to get those pitched and passed on is extremely difficult. And you end up with the situation of Brian Cage, who is sitting about for nearly a year because Tony Khan doesn't see the point in keeping him with Hobbs and Starks, but can't tell him about Ring of Honor and his plans for that. I've not seen much from Brian Cage as to what the plans are for Ring of Honor, other than being part of Tully Blanchard's crew. But even that, Tully Blanchard is apparently done with AEW. For anyone who watched the review or the show of Death Before Dishonor, you'll see that Prince Nana bought Tully Blanchard Enterprises. And it's widely believed from people backstage in AEW that Tully Blanchard is done with the company. Which, of course, if you're Brian Cage, would cause even more frustration, and he has aired that frustration on his Twitter. So it is quite a weird situation going on there that needs addressed. One of the biggest criticisms of AEW from a talent standpoint has always been the communication, and they really need to take steps to resolve that. But other than that, they are the kind of main stories of this week. Again, I appreciate you tuning into this less formal version of the news. This won't be a common occurrence. We will be back with a full crew as of Thursday. But arguably what I'm most upset by is we recorded a really fun game last night as well. I won't spoil it because we'll try and do it later on down the line. But it was a lot of fun and I think you guys would have loved it. But alas, we'll see if we can fit it in next week. But please do the usual. Please give us a like, follow, subscribe, all the fun stuff on YouTube. All our social links are in the Discord in the description below, including our Discord. as well as our individual Twitter handles and the show Twitter, which is at honour_club. That is honour with a U because we are British. Thanks everyone for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.